Alright, day 3 of how many games can I beat in 1 year. Games beaten so far is 7, and the goal today is going to be to get up to 10. I have 3 SNES games lined up. Alright. Yeah, I've got 3 SNES games for today, and I'm going to try and get through at least all 3 of them, which I should be able to.
Kirby's Avalanche.
I would say this is probably going to be the hardest one to do. I think this one's going to be hard in general. Wait. I'm actually going to reset the game. I need to check what difficulty I'm on. Because the last time I played this, I may have done the hardest difficulty. And I'm going to switch it to normal. Or always make sure... Alright, it's already on normal.
Kirby's Avalanche.
But yeah, these type of falling block puzzle games are going to be super good for this challenge because I think they tend to take around an hour, these types of games, if you're just trying to beat the campaign. Obviously, some of them can get quite difficult near the end. And in fact, some of these Puyo Puyo games do get pretty challenging. This one can get difficult. I might struggle a bit on some of the later ones, but you do have infinite continues, so you can just keep grinding until you just happen to get it. I am by no means good at Puyo Puyo. So I'm not going to be able to beat it as fast as probably someone who is a lot more familiar with Puyo Puyo would. But I think I should still be able to do it pretty comfortably. But obviously the best kinds of these games are going to be ones that I'm at least familiar enough with that I know that I can beat comfortably. If it's a puzzle game that I've never played before and I don't really know the rules to it, then maybe I'll struggle a bit more, but Puyo Puyo should be fine. I would think most... If there's any version of Tetris should be okay. Well, maybe not any version of Tetris, but if there are any Tetris games that have similar aspects as this game, I should be fine with it. Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo I should be able to do just fine. It's really like Tetris Attack I should be able to do, and Pokemon Puzzle League as well. I would say the only falling block puzzle game that I know of where I may not... I don't know if it even has like a story mode or anything, but one I might struggle with, I don't know if I would be able to do comfortably, would be Dr. Mario. I've never been a big Dr. Mario guy, but I don't know, maybe at some point I'll play more Dr. Mario. Maybe I just haven't played it enough to really know if I like it or not, but yeah, I don't know like any setups or anything for Puyo Puyo. I just kind of wing it and hope I get some good matches from it. Maybe I can, like, figure out a couple decent setups. But it's not going to be anything too crazy. Not going to just destroy every enemy instantly like others probably could. There we go. Ooh. Yeah, and then there's quite a few other Puyo Puyo games to do. That should be pretty short as well. So obviously you have Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, which is almost the same as this game. They're both very similar. Plus the original version of Puyo Puyo on Super Famicom. I had an idea with this, but I kind of lost it, so... Well, at least I can get that, but... Definitely could have played that a lot better. Yeah, so... Not only this game, but also Mean Bean Machine, original Puyo Puyo. There's Puyo Pop on the Game Boy Advance, which that one would be a bit longer because there's kind of a few more levels in that game than in this one, or Mean Bean Machine or anything. But that one still shouldn't be too long compared to... you know, other games I could do instead. Then I also have Puyo Puyo 2 Remix on Super Famicom. There's also Puyo Pop Fever, but I don't really know about that, if I would do that one. Because I played that on Game Boy Advance, and I remember it being actually really difficult compared to a lot of other Puyo Puyo games. So I don't know if I would feel comfortable with that one. Or I don't feel like I could get through that comfortably. Like, I'm pretty sure I can do this one just fine. Granted, I'm not winning this one right now, but... I don't know, I guess at the level I'm at with Puyo Puyo, my skill level, which obviously isn't very high, it kind of feels like a lot of matches in some of these older ones are... or in just any Puyo Puyo game in general, it kind of feels like it's just random, you know? Maybe I win, maybe I don't. You know, it kind of just depends on what the enemy is doing, right? Like, if the enemy's doing really well, then I lose. But if the enemy isn't doing well, then I win. It's kind of how it feels to me. And then maybe even looking for, like, what other Puyo Puyo games are there. And seeing if I can do those as well. Oh. I guess that kind of works. Would have preferred to also have gotten rid of these purples. Okay. Getting a little worried on that one. I wasn't not playing well at all, but whatever. I got through the level. So it really is just about the CPUs messing up more than it is about me playing well. Obviously, I do need to play somewhat well, because they're not gonna make too many mistakes if there aren't boulders they're having to avoid. I don't actually know what the clear ones are actually called in, like, real Puyo Puyo. They're called boulders in this game. I don't know what they're called in Mean Bean Machine. Yeah, see, this is... I'm unsure about my chances here. Like, if he keeps screwing up, you know... If he's not clearing anything, then it's fine. But if he's gonna get something like that... I mean, that's not so bad, but... It's obviously not what I want. I mean, any game that may be kind of difficult, but you can kind of just brute force by just restarting over and over on the hard thing until you win. Honestly, those games shouldn't be too bad. It just depends on how likely I am to win. Because there's a game where I just have, like, such a low chance of winning. That may not even be worth attempting, but something like this, I can do. Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, even if that gets difficult, I know eventually I'll win. Some fighting games are probably going to be like that as well. Where just, as long as I keep trying, I'll eventually win. But it also kind of depends on how quickly am I going to be able to win. Because obviously a lot of games, if it's... Like, obviously this isn't completely random. If I was better at the game, I would guarantee that I would win. I could guarantee I would win quicker than I am. But I'm not good at this game, so I obviously would not. So it has some randomness to it. That was what I meant to do. I meant to put the yellow one on the bottom. But I know with enough trying, I'll be able to still beat this pretty quickly. You know, it's not going to take me 1,000 attempts to beat the final boss of this game. Whereas something like a roguelike, technically I could beat a roguelike pretty quickly, but how likely am I to do that? Especially because it would have to be a roguelike that I am fairly familiar with, and I think there's only really one roguelike I'm familiar with at all, to where, like, maybe I could do it, but I'm just not entirely sure if I would be able to. I think the time investment to try and beat it is actually going to be worse than if I were to just spend 5 hours on a game that I know I can beat in that 5 hours. But yeah, definitely that was... I could have recovered that, but I didn't play well. I do wonder how many games will be just like mostly RNG to complete. Because there's got to be quite a few games that are, you know, mostly RNG if you can even beat them. And I wonder about, like, games that are just, like, board games or card games. Because, like, sure, those would be RNG, but, I mean, it's just RNG. That's what, at least most board games that are translated to video games tend to just be a lot of RNG, and card games are mostly RNG. So, like, are there games like that that I could do? I mean, on Game Boy Advance, there's a lot of board game collections on those. Like Candyland, Chutes and Ladders, and Memory. Memory's the only one there that... I mean, yeah, that's RNG, but you're... As long as you can do it in the time, you're guaranteed to win. I think. I think that one's a single-player game, but then Candyland is literally all RNG. And technically Chutes and Ladders too, I think. So it would just be about getting good RNG on those. But then also, there are quite a few, like, card game collections on, like, Game Boy Advance and PlayStation 2. I wonder, like, how long would those be to actually do? It also depends on if I know how to play the games. I know on one of the PS2 card game collections I have, there are some games I just don't know how to play, so I would have to learn how to play them first before I could guarantee that I have a chance at winning. But some of the games they have on there, I do know how to play. I do know how to play Tonk. So, it wouldn't be too far-fetched to say that I could, in a card game collection, that I could beat Tonk, because I could. It's just about the other games, and how RNG are they? Because a lot of card games are very random. That's kind of the point of a lot of them. But it wouldn't be anything too RNG. It wouldn't be... If there's like a poker game, it'd just be win a game of poker. It wouldn't be get a... You wouldn't have to get a royal flush. But then obviously a lot of card games or board games as well are going to be, can you actually beat them? Is it just like an endless play as much of this card game as you want, or is there some sort of actual end goal? I think for a board game, right, unless there is like a story mode. If there's like a story mode and you have to like beat it a certain number of times, like against certain opponents like this game, or if it's like do certain challenges in this game, then that would be the goal. But if it's just beat the board game, then, you know, just play the board game, then surely wouldn't the goal just be play the board game? Just win once at the board game? Because that's the case, then, I mean, those kinds of games are gonna be really short. And this is what I'm talking about with saying the game essentially feels random. I struggled on Heavy Mole, and the next two fights in a row, I beat first try. Pretty quickly. And yeah, this game's a lot shorter than I was expecting. There's only 2 levels left. So I do think it's a difficulty increase with Meta Knight and King Dedede. I think they tend to be harder than like Kracko and Heavy Mole. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I got such a good start that doesn't matter. Yeah, definitely. It seemed like a lot of the other fights, if I got a decent start, then they just weren't able to catch up and really do anything. But Meta Knight is actually still creating moves and doing stuff. But, I mean, that was still, I didn't struggle on that fight at all, like I did with Heavy Mole. So that means the last is King Dedede. I may have to find some other games to try today. I was thinking this one was going to take longer than it's ended up being. I mean, obviously it still depends on how long DDD takes. I don't assume DDD is going to take too long, even if I fail a few times. But I mean, you never know. DDD could take me a really long time. I feel like this game, though, is easier than Mean Bean Machine. I feel like Mean Bean Machine, like, really ramps up the difficulty by the end of the game. Whereas this game seems to not be too bad all the way through. Like, I feel like some of the later rounds in Mean Bean Machine tend to be a lot harder than King DDD. But to be fair, I am not doing very well. I tried to rotate that. I think it's over. Oh, no. Not quite, but maybe. Oh, no. I rotated that a little too far. Okay. That combo near the end clutched it out. Yeah. That's the end of Kirby's Avalanche. I didn't expect that to be that quick. 25 minutes? I was thinking this was going to be an hour. But that was way shorter than I was expecting. I even started at level 1. You can technically start at level 4 for some reason. I guess to kind of compensate, because this version of the game doesn't have a password system whereas Mean Bean Machine does. So they just let you start at level 4, but I didn't even do that. I started at level 1, and still, it was only 25 minutes. That does bring our games beaten up to 8. That's 8 in 3 days, so that's pretty good. And we can still do quite a bit more today, because I still have